You're standing in front of a mirror in a one-bedroom apartment, holding a shoebox like it's a small animal. Inside are $220 sneakers, white leather. The logo big enough to read from across a parking lot. You lace them up slow, one eyelid at a time, and when you stand back up, you're maybe an inch taller than you were before. Not because of the sole, because of what's on it. Your car payment this month is $190. The sneakers cost more than that. You know this. You bought them anyway, and you don't feel 1 ounce of regret. Everyone watching this just had one of two reactions. Either you remember being that person, or you're quietly judging them while wearing something that did the exact same job. Both of you are about to watch this behavior follow you up every income bracket and turn into something you'd never recognize. Because nobody tells you the flex doesn't die when you get rich. It goes silent. And the silent version is the most expensive one of all. Subscribe if you want to understand the part of money that's happening to you right now, whether you've noticed it or not. So let's start where you started. You make $29,000 a year. You work somewhere with a name tag or a schedule that changes every week. The sneakers are on your feet. The new phone is in your pocket, the one you upgraded the Friday it dropped, the one that added $34 a month to a bill you'll be paying down for 2 years. Your money mostly leaves as fast as it lands. Rent eats a third of it before you've spent $1. But the things people can see, those you guard with your life. The phone screen is flawless under a case you bought to protect a screen that's already protected. The shoes get wiped down with a damp cloth before you leave the house. You will eat instant noodles for 9 straight days to keep a thing on your body looking like it cost exactly what it cost. Everyone loves to call this stupid. The broke kid with the expensive shoes, bad with money, doesn't get it, probably going to stay poor. Except it isn't stupid, not even a little. Look at what a stranger can actually see when they look at you. Not your savings, not your credit score, not the version of you that you're working toward. Net worth is invisible, a number locked in an app nobody else gets to open. So when you want to signal that you're going somewhere, that you refuse to stay at the bottom, you've got exactly one channel that works: the logo, the visible thing. The signal has to be loud because the audience can't see anything else about you. A man named Thorstein Veblen wrote about this in 1899. He watched the rich set money on fire on useless visible things and called it conspicuous consumption, spending whose entire job is to be seen happening. He thought it was a disease of the wealthy. He had it upside down. It starts at the bottom. It starts with you, in this apartment, standing taller because of $200 of leather. The less the world can see about you, the louder you're forced to announce yourself. But the volume can't hold at this level. The logo starts shrinking the second someone with real money walks into the room. Now jump. The salary's 4 times bigger. Watch what the flex does when you finally give it a budget. You make $120,000 now. There's an office, a title under your name and an email signature, a parking spot with a number painted on the concrete. The sneakers are gone. You'd be embarrassed to be seen in them. What's in the driveway instead is a leased German sedan, $640 a month, and you feel exactly how it sits lower and tighter than every car you owned before. You moved too, not far in miles, far in zip code, to the neighborhood where the coffee shops have one-word names and the rent makes your stomach drop on the first of every month. You take one international trip a year and you photograph every meal. Not because the food's that good, because the location tag is the whole point of the plate. The move you make at this level is quieter than the sneakers, but identical underneath. You don't buy the things you want. You buy the things that say something to the specific people now standing next to you. The watch a coworker would notice and price in his head. The gym that costs $200 a month instead of the one that costs $40, because somebody at the $200 one might shake your hand someday and change your career. You think you've grown more sophisticated. You haven't. You swapped audiences. The kid with the sneakers was broadcasting to other kids who could read sneakers. You're broadcasting to people who read postal codes and steering wheel badges and where someone summered. Same transmission, new frequency, bigger antenna. And it's lonelier than the sneakers ever were, because nobody here will admit they're doing it. The man down the hall swears the watch was an investment. The woman who moved into your building calls it just a shorter commute. Everyone's signaling at full volume, and everyone's pretending the signal is an accident. The bill for it all is brutal. You earn 4 times what you used to, and somehow you're not 4 times safer. The lease, the rent, the trip, the membership, they scaled with the income on purpose, because the signal has to match the new room you walked into or it doesn't count. You tell yourself this is the top of the game, that the people above you must be doing all of this harder, louder, shinier, bigger cars, bigger logos, bigger everything. So let's go find them. The number's about to get a lot larger, and the cars are about to get worse. Skip ahead. Net worth crosses $2 million. The flex doesn't grow. It starts to vanish. You're worth $2.3 million now, and you're driving a 12-year-old Volvo with a scuff on the rear bumper you've never once thought about fixing. The watch on your wrist is plastic and runs on a battery you swap out yourself with a kitchen knife. Your house is genuinely nice, but it's on a street nobody's heard of, set back behind trees, the kind of place you drive past without a second glance. When people who knew you at $120 K spot the car, you catch something cross their face. Confusion. A flicker of concern. Did it fall apart for you? Did something go wrong? Nothing went wrong. Something clicked instead. What you do with money now is invert the whole pattern. You spend enormously on the things nobody can see. The index funds, the kids' tuition paid in full, the 8 months of expenses sitting in cash like a held breath. And you spend almost nothing on the things people can. You stopped, because somewhere on the climb you noticed something that genuinely unsettled you and you couldn't shake it loose. The loud version of wealth, the badge, the logo, the shine. That's the dialect of someone still climbing. The car that screams money is the car of a person who needs you to hear it. And once you saw that clearly, you couldn't unsee it anywhere. The flex started to look like a confession, an admission that the money was new, and you were still a little stunned to be holding it. There's a name for this. 2 economists wrote a paper in 2002 with the best title in the field. Too cool for school? About something they called counter-signaling. The idea is almost rude in how simple it is. The genuinely skilled don't need to prove they're skilled. The middle has to prove it constantly, every day, with everything they own. So the people at the very top start signaling by refusing to signal at all, and the refusal becomes the new badge, one only other top players can even read. The 12-year-old Volvo isn't a money decision, it's a sentence. It just happens to be written in a language most people will never learn. And the strangest part is who it's written for. You're not transmitting to the whole world anymore. You're transmitting to the 4 or 5 people who'd actually understand what the plain watch means. Everyone else's read on you stopped mattering the day their opinion stopped touching your life. There's still one rung above this. And at the very top, the silence gets so complete, it stops feeling like a strategy and starts feeling like a person. One more jump, $5 million. The signal inverts all the way. You're worth $5 million and you're wearing a plain white t-shirt that came in a 3-pack for $12. You buy groceries at the regular store with the regular cart. Your phone is 2 models old and cracked across one corner and you genuinely cannot make yourself care. The people in your actual life, the ones standing at your tier, they know precisely what you have because they have it too, and not one of you ever says a word about it out loud. The knowing is silent and total. The silence is the entire point. What you do with money at the top is the move that would have been unthinkable to you at 29K. You spend it to be left alone. You buy distance, privacy, the freedom to cross a parking lot and have no stranger form a single thought about your worth, because the version of you they can see is deliberately, strategically empty. 2 researchers named Stanley and Danko spent years interviewing actual millionaires, and what they found embarrassed everybody. The people with the most money were almost never the ones in the loudest cars. The flashy ones were usually leveraged up to their eyebrows, renting a tier they hadn't actually reached. The real wealth drove used, lived modest, mowed its own lawn, and you'd walk right past it on the sidewalk without a flicker of recognition. The signal didn't shrink as you climbed, it flipped. At the bottom, loud meant aspiration. At the top, loud means insecurity, and quiet means arrived. This is the part that sits a little uneasy once you really see it. The invisibility isn't humility. Don't let anyone sell you that softer story. It's the most exclusive signal that exists, because the only people who can decode it are the ones who already belong. You're not being modest. You're broadcasting on a frequency the bottom can't physically pick up. The plain t-shirt is the loudest thing you've ever worn. It just speaks to an audience of almost nobody. You spent your whole life learning how to be seen, and the final lesson was learning how to disappear on purpose. So come back to the mirror. The same person who stood an inch taller in a 1-bedroom apartment over $220 sneakers. That's the same person stepping out of a 10-year-old sedan in front of a $4 million house. Same instinct, same engine running underneath the floorboards. The need to send a signal about who you are to the exact people whose opinion you've decided counts. A neighbor walks past and says something about the old car. A small dig, maybe. A little curiosity dressed up as a joke. And you smile. You don't explain. You were never going to explain. Because explaining would mean you needed him to know. And needing him to know is the one thing all that money finally bought you out of. The kid with the sneakers and the millionaire in the t-shirt are doing the identical thing. They always were. The only difference is who they're talking to, and how many people got quietly cut out of the conversation on the way up. Here's the thread you'll keep pulling at long after this ends. You think you'll stop signaling once you finally have enough. You won't. You'll just shrink the audience down to the handful of people who already see you, and you'll call the silence peace. It was never about the shoes.